Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Alpha TV. Hello everyone. In this video we will talk about OSI model in detail, and we already uploaded the videos about computer networks which are already uploaded and which are helpful in any kind of test or interview regarding computer related jobs. So today we will talk about OSI model and its layer. So welcome to this series of PPSC Computer Science Educators and Lecture Preparation Series. The first one is OSI model. It's an open system interconnection and it has 7 ordered layers which are organized and cannot be shuffled. It is a layer based model. So here we will talk about layers. The first one is physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer and application layer. So the easy way to remember these layers, I have mentioned here a logic that all people seem to need data processing. All A for application layer, P stands for presentation layer, S means session layer, T stands for transport layer, N stands for network layer, D stands for data link layer, and this last P stands for physical layer. And on the other hand, from 1 to 7 there is another logic you can use and remember these layers. Please do not throw sausage pizza away. Here this is a set of 7 layers, and these layers are divided into 3 subgroups. The first one is network support layers that deals with hardware and software, and this physical layer mostly deals with hardware. In the second group, the first top 3 layers are called user support layers. These layers deal with only software. And this is a middle layer, that is transport layer. We will talk about first network support layers. What are the duties of these layers? The duty of these layers is that they deal with physical aspect of moving data from one device to another. And the second one, user support layers, they allow interoperability between unrelated software systems. If there are 2 unrelated softwares, so these layers make it operable. And this transport layer, that is third subgroup, deals with links between 2 subgroups and ensures that what the lower layers have sent is in the form that upper layers can use. So this transport layer links 2 subgroups. These 2 subgroups are linked through this transport layer, and this transport layer ensures that what the lower layers have sent is in the form that upper layers can use. Here these are 7 layers, and there are 2 systems, system 1 and system 2. System 1 wants to communicate with system 2, and how system 1 can communicate with system 2, we will talk about it. Here this is application layer, and next one is presentation layer, session layer, transport layer, network layer. data link layer and physical layer. And this is the flow of data through which the data can be passed layer by layer in this direction, and it transferred through transmission medium, and again it goes through these layers and reach to system 2. In these layers, the data will flow through system 1 to system 2 in this direction. Here you can see headers are added and data is also added at each layer. The header 7, when the data is sent from system 1, it contains headers and data. This application layer transfers the headers and data to presentation layer, then presentation layer is transferred to the next layer, and next layer is transferred to the next layer, and so on. This whole process is being executed. Here the most important point is that while headers are added, while sending the data, headers are added and also trailers are added at the data link layer, and at the receiving end headers and or trailers are removed. These dotted lines or shaded area shows that these headers are removed, and from system 1 the data comes here in the digital form, and electromagnetic signals using this transmission medium, and this digital data goes through the transmission medium, and this transmission medium converts that digital data into analog, and then again transferred in the digital form to the next physical layer. That's all we have here, and the most important things that mostly in the exam these 2 points are being asked, like while sending, where the headers are added or where the headers or trailers are removed, at what end. Like at the sending end, while sending the data, headers are added, and at the receiving end headers are removed. We talk about layers. The first one is physical layer. Here the data is in the form of bits, and this is data link layer that transfer this data into digital form in the form of bits 0, 1, and this digital data is converted through this transmission medium into again digital data, and this digital data is transferred or received at the receiver end at the data link layer. We will talk about the functions or responsibility of physical layer. The first one is physical characteristic of interface and medium. It means the physical characteristics and the interface, which interface and medium is used. Here the physical medium that can be wireless or wired. This is how physical characteristics of interface and medium can be handled by physical layer. And the next one is data rate. or you can say the transmission rate at which rate the data is being transmitted. The third one is physical layer also handles the synchronization of bits. It means the same bit rate and synchronization at bit level is same. The next one is line configuration. It means which kind of connection is used by the system 1. It can be point-to-point connection or multi-point connection. In point-to-point, we have already uploaded the video about connections, which type of connections used by the systems during communication. So point-to-point communication and multi-point communication or connection is explained and uploaded the video. You can see the video. The link of the video about these point-to-point connection and multi-point connection is given in the description. And next, physical layer also handles the physical topology. There are 4 basic network physical topologies. First one is mesh, star, bus and ring. So we have already talked about physical topologies in the video, and you can see the link of that video in the description. And next one is transmission modes. Transmission modes means it's a half duplex, simplex or full duplex. Which kind of transmission mode is used? So that handles physical layer. Next one is data link layer. Here you can say at the data link layer, header is added. This header contains sender and receiver address, and this data link layer transfers the data to the physical layer, and the upper layer, that is network layer, sends the data to the data link layer. And here you can see the trailer is added. Trailer handles the error control and data flow, in which direction the data will be flowed, and if there is an error while sending the data, so it is handled by trailer. And here you can see the header is removed. This shaded area indicates that header is removed, and we have talked about that headers are removed at the receiver end. Here it is a receiver and this is a sender. At the sender end, header is added, and at the receiver end, header is removed. So in the data link layer, the first function of the data link layer is framing. It means stream of bits is converted into frames, that is data units. Bits and frames are the data units. So at the data link layer, the stream of bits is converted into frames. At physical layer, we have the data in the form of bits, and at the data link layer, we have the data in the form of frames. And next one, data link layer handles or talk about physical addresses. It controls physical addresses that can be MAC address, machine address and Ethernet address. And data link layer also handles these 2 functions: flow control and error control. Flow control means in which direction data will be flow, An error control, that if there is an error in the data transmission, so it is handled by trailer. These two, flow control and error control, is handled by trailer. And the next one is access control, also comes at the data link layer. Next one is node to node or hop to hop delivery. At the data link layer, the delivery of the data will be node to node or hop to hop. And the next one is network layer, that is host to host delivery, source host to destination host delivery. Network layer, here header is also added that deals with IP addresses or logical addresses, and this is the receiving end. The network layer can handle logical addresses that can be IP addresses. IP addresses changes time to time. And the next one is the network layer. The main function is routing. Packets from source host to destination host are sent at the network layer. Next one is transport layer. It is a process to process delivery. Here it is a transport layer, and from session layer to transport layer, then transport layer transfer to network layer, and at the receiver end, this is a transport layer, and from network layer data is sent to the transport layer, then transport layer transmit the data to session layer. And in this process at the transport layer, the communication will be process to process delivery, and it also transport layer also handles the segmentation. Here in this diagram you can say headers, devices, header 4 and data, header 4 and data. These data are in the form of segments, and here the shaded area represent that headers are removed. And the next function of the transport layer is segmenting and reassembly. It means frames to segments. Segments contains sequence number, and segments contain sequence number. If the data is lost, then it can be handled by sequence number. It organized the data if the data is lost. Flow control and error control both happens end to end. Next one is session layer. Here you can say at the session layer we have this is header, and these are shaded areas. This is sender end and this is receiver end. From presentation layer to the session layer, then session layer transmit the data to transport layer, and at the receiver end, from transport layer data is transmitted to session layer, then session layer sends the data to presentation layer. Session layer handles dialog control. Either it is half duplex, the dialog is half duplex or full duplex. Here we have two systems that are communicating with each other, and this is a full duplex. It means at the same time this machine can send the data to machine 2 and machine 2 sends the data back to machine 1. And at session layer synchronization happens. What is synchronization? Synchronization means if I want to send 2000 pages at once, so we need to make checkpoints. We make 100 pages, a rim of 100 pages, and we will put a checkpoint after that acknowledge that 100 pages or rim of 100 pages is being transmitted successfully. In the same way, the next 100 pages, and after that we have a checkpoint. In this way we have 4 bundles of these point checks and 100 pages. So it means when the 500 pages are transmitted successfully, we made the checkpoints at every rim of 100 pages. These checkpoints make sure and acknowledge and give acknowledgement that 500 pages are successfully transmitted. After 500 pages the system crashed. So what happened next in synchronization? When the system again established and there will be no issue, the data will be sent from 501 pages to 2000 pages. So this is called synchronization, that the rest of the data after system crash, the rest of data will start from 501 pages to 2000 pages. Next one is presentation layer. Presentation layer handles these 3 functions. The first one is at the presentation layer translation is done. Next one is encryption is done at the presentation layer, and compression is also done at presentation layer. Translation means encoding scheme. Either it is a line or bipolar. So presentation layer, these are 2 systems communicating with each other. They can use different encoding schemes. Either it can be used line encoding scheme or bipolar encoding scheme. The next one is encryption. Encryption means at the presentation layer the data contains sensitive information, so encryption provides privacy and data security. If system 1 sends data or message M in the form of N1 and it is sent to the next station, so what the encryption will do, the system 2 will convert at the presentation layer M dash message to M and received at the receiver end. This is called encryption. And next one is compression. Compression means reduction of anything. At presentation layer compression is done. It reduces the number of bits, and it could be in the form of audio, video or images. So most compression standards are JPEG, MPEG and MIDI. Next one is application layer. Application layer deals with these functions to allow access to network resources. Network resources means it could be files or virtual terminals or network virtual terminals. It provides services to the user. Application layer provides services to the user. And next one is network virtual terminal. Network virtual terminal is a software version of physical terminals. Just like remote login is the example of network virtual terminal, that if we want to log in remotely, then we use network virtual terminal, just like the example is TeamViewer. File transfer access and management can access files to remote host. Application layer also deals with mailing and directory services. At application layer, mailing can be handled by basic mail storage and forwarding of mail. Basic mail forwarding storage. The example of this mailing services would be Outlook. And the next one is directory services, provides distributed database sources and access for global information over the internet. So these are the most important points you have to remember, that the physical layer, in physical layer the data is in the form of bits, and there could be used repeaters, hubs. And second one is data link layer. In the data link layer, the data is in the form of frames, and connection would be, or data delivery would be node to node or hop to hop delivery. At data link layer we can use bridge and switches. Third one is network layer. Network layer contains the data in the form of packets or datagram. Here we can use routers, and at network layer host to host delivery is done. At transport layer the data is in the form of segments, and the delivery would be process to process delivery. So it could be asked in the exam that at which layer node to node or hop to hop delivery is done, or it can be asked at which layer host to host delivery is done. So answer will be network layer, and for the node to node delivery the answer will be data link layer, and for process to process delivery it would be transport layer. At transport layer process to process delivery happened. That's all today. Thank you so much for watching this video, and watch the other videos that uploaded about computer networks and data communication. Allah Hafiz.